Key from Chippewa High School, right down here in front. She's going to come up and join us in a minute. And I want to especially thank Beth Harbison for connecting us. You're the District 12, our District 12 music teacher, who has you. If you come to the car safari, the kids are it. We have performers. They lost their chance to perform, and this is something Tim, you and I talked about last Christmas. Made it a little hard to do what we were thinking with COVID, but we reached out to Beth. She's been working really, really hard. And I want to mention your initiative. Kate started a food insecurities initiative called Hunger Helpers, where she decided that she would start a thing where she would go help people who want to donate food but can't get out, get the food. I talked to her about it just moments ago. Categorize it so the food banks don't have to do it. It's just, we need more people like you, Kate. I can't wait to hear you do your thing. So I take this with me? All right, I'm gonna leave now. Okay, bye.
Don't you hate an introduction that undersells you like that? Good evening and welcome. You know, when I first started talking with Matt and Renee several months ago about this year's Five Senses Festival, one of the key themes that they discussed that they wanted to run through the entire festival, as they've mentioned several times tonight, was this idea of crossing borders. So I went to the dictionary and looked up the word border. Quote, the line or frontier area separating political divisions or geographic regions, a boundary. You know, borders or boundaries of all kinds between people are everywhere today, and they somehow seem to have hardened to the point where they sometimes seem to be almost uncrossable. So how do we cross these uncrossable borders, these lines that separate us? Well, I think that one of the answers actually lies in the very name of this festival, and one of the most important of the five senses, not sight, smell, touch, or taste, but actually listening. You know, one of the most striking things about the boundaries separating everybody today is the near total lack of listening happening across those borders or boundaries. People on opposite sides of today's most polarizing issues simply have nothing to say to each other, and there's almost a complete lack of ability to actually listen to each other. And though I completely understand this, not listening somehow keeps us separate. Real listening invariably leads to some kind of empathy and understanding. And listening, difficult though it might be today, somehow always brings us together. And what better way to work on listening than through music? So tonight, I want to see if somehow in the utterly safe space, a hard thing to find these days, the utterly safe space of a song that the recording industry of America in the year 2000 chose as the song of the century, Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg's Over the Rainbow, if we could learn something about listening and crossing borders. And so to help me, would you please welcome our fantastic singer and wonderful human being, Kate Mykowski. You know, Yip Harburg, who wrote the words to Over the Rainbow, he called this a song of yearning. But it wasn't only a song about Dorothy's yearning, it was a song about America's yearning as well. Written in 1938 as the country was desperately struggling to emerge, so to speak, over the rainbow, out of the Depression after 8 devastating years. It seemed like a particularly appropriate song for us tonight as we struggle to emerge out of our own pandemic-induced depression only 5 months in. Now, there are 2 things that I hope you might get out of this little segment of the program. And the first is the recognition that I've been struggling with as well, is the recognition that we cannot cross the border between this surreal moment of time we're in right now and whatever turns out to be the new future by holding on to the past, but only by welcoming the new, by welcoming the future, whatever that might turn out to be. And there's a beautiful quotation which has never really seemed more appropriate to me than at this moment. And I want to share this quotation with you because I think about it nearly every day. And it's from the brilliant writer on mythology, Joseph Campbell. And he says, you must be willing to let go of the life you've planned in order to have the life that's waiting for you. Which is really the story of the Five Senses Festival. You must be willing to let go of the life you've planned in order to have the life that's waiting for you. And the second thing I hope you might get out of this little segment is an understanding of the difference between listening and hearing. You know, hearing simply happens. It's unconscious, it's physical. Sound strikes your ear and you hear. It's as simple as that. As the composer Stravinsky wittily says, take no pride in your ability to hear, a duck hears also. Listening, however, is psychological and it's conscious. It requires paying attention to what you're hearing in a new way. And so though I'm sure you can't remember a time when you didn't know the song Over the Rainbow by heart, let's see if we can help you somehow listen to it in a new way with new ears. So here are the famous opening 8 measures of Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby.
Doesn't she sound fantastic? Now, amazingly enough, there are only 2 ideas in this entire opening. The first one I'm going to call leap, and the second one I'm going to call circle and yearn. It's important you learn these technical terms tonight. Leap and circle and yearn. Now, that opening leap on somewhere, by the way, not on someday over the rainbow or I'll go over the rainbow, which were early Yip Harburg attempts at the lyric, but that opening leap on somewhere is actually a huge leap for a musical theater song, a full octave. But it's not only a huge leap musically, it's a leap between 2 different worlds and 2 parts of the voice. That first note here, it's down low, it's in chest voice, it's Dorothy's troubled reality, it's Kansas. It's aridity. It's no flowers. It's the black and white at the beginning of the film. Remember this? This is Kansas. These 2 notes are going to be the key to the entire song and the meaning of your life in the next 20 minutes, but you won't get their full meaning until the last notes of the song. So the first note down low is Kansas. The second note, it's more ethereal. It's lighter. It's Oz. It's where she wants to escape to. So remember these 2 notes, Kansas and Oz. She'll sing that opening leap for you.
Somewhere.
Now you try. Ready, sing.
Somewhere.
Excellent. It's important not to give you a moment to think that you don't want to actually do that. But now sing that first note low and then float to Oz. That's the post-pandemic register of your voice. Try that once again. Now float. Fantastic. Now the other idea I call circle and yearn, because you start on a note, you circle back to that note, and then you yearn. Here's what circle and yearn sounds like in the voice.
Over the
Yearn. Now you try it. This gesture is perfectly fine for the yearn. Here we go. Ready? Sing. Yearn. That's it. The only 2 ideas, leap, circle, and yearn. Now there are 3 leaps in the opening. The first one is on somewhere, and it's big. It's what we call a full octave like this.
Somewhere.
Now the next leap on way up is smaller like this.
Way up.
And the third one is lower and even smaller like this on there's a.
There's a.
Like these leaps, her dreams are already poignantly contracting over the first verse. Now, it's the harmony in the accompaniment that makes these leaps so exquisite. As I mentioned, Yip Harburg called this a song of yearning. And the yearning is all in the accompaniment. It's me that makes it so exquisite. Now, he could easily have put some nice cheery chords under way up high, and it could have sounded like this. Way up high. But listen to the incredible yearning in the piano part under Way Up High that shows us the feeling behind those words. Great composers don't set words to music. What they set is the emotion behind the words. So not way up high, but this, way up. Now this one's subtle. There's a could easily have been this. There's a. But listen to the second chord, which is darker. This is very subtle. Not this, there's a, but this one, there's a. There's already trouble in Kansas. Now, we finish with 2 circle and yearns. Circle, yearn, circle lower, yearn, and resolve. Here's what that sounds like with a voice.
Land that I heard of
Do it lower.
once in a lullaby.
Okay, now this sounds perfect, but what makes it sound so perfect? What makes it sound so right? Now remember, what's the key to the song? Kansas, Oz. So Arlen essentially starts in Kansas, leaves for Oz, but then he essentially takes us back to Kansas over the first verse down a simple scale. But it's not obvious, so I'll play those notes loud and bang them out so you can't miss it. So we're going from Kansas to Oz and down like this. Somewhere, oh. So she yearns for Oz, but she's still stuck in Kansas. Now, I hope there's no one here from Kansas that I'm offending, or at least no major corporation who would be donating to Pilobolus at this moment in time. All right, now the second verse repeats the same music with different words, but at the end of the second verse on dreams really do come true, we're still stuck in Kansas. Now, inspiration can come from anywhere. If you believe the story that Yip Harburg tells, and these stories get burnished over time, if you can believe the story that he tells, the inspiration for the middle of this piece, the B section, came from a little whistle that Harold Arlen used to make whenever his dog Pan would run away. Since I'm the world's worst whistler, she's going to demonstrate. This is the whistle he used to make when his dog would run away. I think she did really well, much better than I would have done. See, now imagine this little whistle. That little whistle, slowed down, becomes the middle idea for Over the Rainbow, like this.
Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me.
Now the music starts to repeat exactly like this for Where Troubles Melt Like Lemon Drops.
Where troubles melt like lemon drops.
If it continued to copy, it would go, but instead it reaches for the chimney tops like this.
Away above the chimney tops, that's where
The highest note of the piece, above the chimney tops. Back to the opening.
Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly.
Now, we repeat the whole opening, and a normal Broadway song would end with a repeat. On why, then oh why can't I? But then there would be no transformation. And in the end, like hopefully the Five Senses Festival and for all of us, great Broadway songs are about transformation. Who you are at the beginning of the song is never who you are at the end of the song. And if we end like this, she would still be stuck in Kansas. And then in a fantastic moment, Arlen decides to bring back the music of that middle, but in the orchestra alone. Now there's a fantastic quote from Yip Harburg that I always want you to remember. He says, words make you think thoughts. Music makes you feel a feeling, but a song makes you feel a thought. It's a lovely quote, and you can literally feel Dorothy thinking out loud as the orchestra plays the music of the middle. The voice enters just like in the middle of the song, like this.
If happy little bluebirds fly.
If it had continued like the middle, it would have gone like this. But instead, he alters the melody like this.
Beyond the rainbow.
And he begins one last rise. Remember, what's the key to the song? Kansas, Oz, Kansas, Oz. Keep that in mind. Keep that note in your ear. One last rise, which goes like this.
Why, oh, why can't I?
From Kansas to Oz, from low C to high C, from reality to fantasy, and her transformation is complete. Bravo!